Welcome to Job Readiness, your resume and job application with Mishell. So in today's agenda, we're going to speak on, we're going to go over your resume simplified. A lot of times just looking at the word resume or even thinking of writing a resume, the task can seem overwhelming even before we begin. The word resume can be intimidating by itself because we know that this is a document or a form that we're going to hand over to be critiqued. Just the nature of the resume invites criticism, and it can be really overwhelming, especially when you're trying to put your best foot forward. We'll also go over what to avoid on your resume. It's really simple. And some are really small mistakes that are made that we can just simply just pay more attention to. And then we're going to go over completing your job application and common errors that we make when completing a job application. So my name is Mishell. Just briefly, a little bit about myself. I'm the job developer here at Scare. Prior to working at Scare, I worked at my previous job for 20 years. So I'm going to translate my experience to what we're going over today. So prior to working at Scare, I was a program director for a preschool. We had 3 sites. I started off as a toddler teacher, then became a preschool teacher, then a supervisor, then program director. So in that, when I started looking for a job, I realized really quickly that I needed to translate the skills that I gained from my previous employment and translate them for the employer or for the person who was hiring into skills that the new job or the job that I was seeking could understand. So it's one thing to say that I was a program director for a preschool company. But it's another thing for me to say that, yes, I sat with the Department of Education. Yes, I held meetings with the San Diego Unified School District. That I had to order supplies for our entire company and their entire and each department within the company. So it's just like when you break down my jobs and the things that I did, they translated into skills that were usable in a different setting. So I completed many different reports for the California Adult and Child Food Program. I had to write grants. I had to plan menus, grocery lists. I wrote our annual grant that we had in the preschool. I prepared documents. I created documents. I also did payroll. I prepared our payment reports. I facilitated staff meetings, staff trainings. I facilitated parent meetings. I ran all of our in-services. So it's just like, as a program director, you could say that, yes, I was a program director for 3 sites. I had 180 employees, and then you could just leave it at that. But it's another thing when you break down every little thing that you did, and then you translate that into a skill that the hiring department can say, oh, yes, we can use those skills in our company. And that's what you want to project when you're filling out these job applications and when you're completing or when you're creating a resume, you want to make yourself be an asset to the company and that you have other skills to bring to the table. So when we're looking at the resume, you have a reverse chronological order resume, you have a functional resume, and then you have a hybrid resume, which is both chronological and a functional resume. So which resume is right for you? Reverse chronological resume is it's seeking jobs similar to your previous employment experience, students looking for an entry-level position, and an academic resume. So in a chronological resume, so if I was to take my experience and write a resume, it would be for reverse chronological that I was a program director, then a site supervisor, then the next work experience would be preschool teacher, and then before that would be toddler teacher. And I would do that type of resume if I was looking for something else, another job that was in education. I would do it in that order so that it shows that my progression in the same field. If I was looking for something in education, that I have 20 years of experience in education, 20 years of experience working with children and adults and with their families. And then my reverse chronological will show also too how I grew in this field and all my experience that I have in that field. So then you move over to your functional resume, which is for creative jobs where your portfolio matters. They want to know what all different positions did you do. So it's like the more the merrier. The more experiences you have, then you want the functional resume. It's also those transitioning from the military or transitioning period, transitioning from another career path. Because sometimes we get into a career path and then we realize that maybe this is not the best fit for me right now. And so we want to do something else. Also, you may want to do a functional resume to not seem like you're overqualified for a position. So if I was to turn my experience into a functional resume, then we're looking at how I was saying that you need to translate your skills or the skill level that you have from your previous employment and making it to where the person who's hiring, they can see those skills and then how it can relate to the position that they're hiring for. So with your reverse chronological, your emphasis is more on your accomplishments, and then with the functional, you're just listing your relevant job experience with the job that's posted or that's available. So with functional resumes, again, a functional resume is a resume that's formatted primarily to showcase your skills, as opposed to a reverse chronological resume that organizes your experience under their previously or under your previously or currently held position. A functional resume groups your experience under skills and categories of skills. This allows employers to focus on your qualifications, such as your technical and soft skills that are required for the job that's posted. And then your reverse chronological resume lists your work experience from newest to oldest. This resume is good for professionals with no or very few gaps in work experience. And also too, like that was a red flag when I was in the position of hiring staff. And I would see in someone's resume that they have like this huge gap, in between their work experience. And so I would have to ask during, not to say that they wouldn't get a job interview, I would interview them and ask like, well, what happened during this year and this year? Because I see that there's no work experience here. Another red flag for me was if someone seemed to be jumping from jobs every 6 months, that was a red flag too. Like, why can't you keep a job? Like, what's going on here? Why did you leave? But we'll get back to that. We'll get to that later. Um, and then you have the um, combo resume, which it's a combination of the reverse chronological and the functional. So, with the combo, you're going to list like your skills and ability first, and then followed by your chronological experience, and then you're going to emphasize your specific skills and abilities um, of professional growth. Um, Resume, you're going to list both your hard skills, which are your technical skills, things that you learned in school, and then also your soft skills, your interpersonal skills. And again, we'll go over what those skills are. You'll list your professional experience in your combo resume, your professional skills that support the skills needed for the job description. And then you will list your education, which is in your professional, and this will support your professional experience. And then in a combination resume, you want to prioritize any skills the employer lists as required in the job description. So any certifications, trainings, or other credentials listed as required for the job description, you want to make sure that those things are on the resume. So we have basic components of the resume. So your basic components are your personal data, objective statement, education, skills, work experience, and references. So to start with your personal data, that is your contact information. So you want to include your full name, your email address, and you want to make sure that your email address is appropriate. It shouldn't include like Care Bears or any inappropriate numbers, anything that references body parts or drug use, anything like that. So you just want to make sure that you have a professional email address. Also, you want to include your phone number. With that, you want to make sure that it's the correct number, that your number, you still have service and you still plan on having service. You want to make sure that your mailbox is not full, that there's plenty of room for an employer to leave a message. Also, you want to manage your outgoing message. This would include like any music going on in the background. You want to make sure that that's appropriate, that you have an appropriate outgoing message. And then next, you want to group your skills together. So you want to make sure that you have relevant and impressive experiences and achievements. You want to include those, your professional experiences, and make sure you include those dates, the position that you held, and then like when you list, you're listing the skills that you needed to complete those jobs. That's important because Also, too, what can happen with this resume is that someone can see that you have experience somewhere, and the skills that you needed in order to do that job. And then they could say, oh, well, I'm not going to hire them for this position, but I have another position that I think that their skills would be best. And I've actually had someone do that. I've actually been in that situation where they saw my resume and they referred me for a different position, and it was actually a higher paying position. So that was awesome. You want to list your education, and then also your references. So these are personal and professional references. Make sure that you give your reference heads up that you are writing them down on a job application so that they can be ready. Also, too, you want to kind of check their voicemail, and again, making sure that their outgoing message is professional, and that their mailbox is not full. And you want to give them a heads up so that they know to answer their phone. Because a lot of times, if we don't know the number, we just send that, we just send it to voicemail, you know. So if you give them a heads up, then more likely they are to make sure that they answer the phone. Okay, when writing your resume, you want to use a 12 to 14 font size. You don't want to go anything bigger than that. You want to use fonts Times New Roman or Garamond. Those are the more professional fonts to use for a resume. Always use white paper. Try to stay away from the colored paper. I know some people want their resume to stand out, but sometimes it just looks tacky. Avoid using italics, script, or underlining passages, and capitalized words and capitalized words in boldface is okay. So that's more appropriate than someone underlining like an entire paragraph. Avoid graphics and shading. And you want to watch out for spelling and grammar errors that may result in your resume being discarded, especially if they need you to do tasks that require that you have good writing skills. So you want to check for those. A good resource to use is Grammarly. It's online. You can copy paste whatever, you know, your text in there, and then it'll correct the things that are not grammarly correct or that are spelled wrong. So always do that. And then, or you can have a friend proofread it for you before you start handing out your resume. And then also too, a big resource is the job description itself. So in the job description, the employer is telling you what exactly they're looking for, what skills they're looking for, what is the minimum requirement, what is desired, you know, and then you can like basically base your resume on the job description itself. Just allow the job description to be your guide. That's a little cheat sheet. Let's see. Your personal data. So here we have Annie's sample, and Annie's sample is in bold. And then you have 255 Snickers Drive, and then, you know, the city and the state, zip code, phone number, then a_sample@gmail.com. So that is an appropriate way to put your personal data. You never want to write your social on these things. I believe I've had someone send me a resume with their social on it. a few times, and each time I told them to take their social off, because you don't know how these people are, these employers or these companies, what they're doing with these resumes afterwards. Some companies like Head Start and Neighborhood House, they store them just because with their government grant, they have to show that they put these jobs out. They circulated the job openings and that they received XYZ amount of job applications for the jobs that they put out. And then this was the resume, or this was the person that they chose for that particular job. It's a lot of paper and they have to keep it. I believe they have to keep these things for like 5 years, and then they get destroyed. But other than that, you don't know what these companies are doing with these resumes. They could just simply throw them out in the trash. And then here it is, someone digging in the trash has your name, your address, your telephone number, your email, and then now they have your social. So you want to make sure that your social is not on your resume. Resume summary. So we're going to go over when to use the resume summary, the goal, the focus, content, and the length. So you'll use a resume summary. I don't know if I said resume summary versus resume objective. If I didn't say that, I'm saying it now. Oh man, these springtime allergies are just killing me. All right. Resume summary versus resume objective. So when to use a summary and when to use an objective. So you will use a summary when applying for jobs in the same industry. You'll use an objective when you have little to no work experience related to the new job. Okay, and then your goal with the summary is to highlight your experiences from your previous job because you're in the same industry. So you're just going to highlight those things. The focus of the summary is to focus only on your hard skills. Hard skills are those technical skills, something that you've learned. And then the content would be your highlighted skills for the new job. And then your summary is going to be 4 to 5 sentences long. So when you're using a resume objective, you use this resume objective when you have little to no work experience related to the job. So you're trying out something new. Your goal is to outline what you can bring to the new job. So it's just like, there are jobs that are willing to train you if they see that you're trainable. And I've done this. And I was very pleased with doing this, with hiring somebody that I felt that I could train. So, and then they were able to bring other things to the table. And then your focus with the objective is to focus on your hard and soft skills. So it's just like, I don't have all the hard skills, but I do have some hard skills. And then you want to bring in what soft skills you also have to bring to the table. And then the content of your objective is to mention the new job, the company, and your desire to gain experience. So with this, you have to know something about this company, and you don't want to seem like you're just throwing resumes everywhere, just like just tossing them up in the air like confetti. But you want to be able to show this company that, yes, I'm hireable. Yes, I know you. I know your company. I know what you guys are about. I researched it. I may not have all the hard skills, but I'm willing to learn the same way I was willing to learn about your company before providing you with my resume. See what I'm saying? So that's what that is. And then the length of that is 2 to 3 sentences long. So it's shorter. So your work experience, you want to write the company name, the city and the state, the year. So you may not know the exact dates when you started or stopped in employment, but you most likely know the month and the year. So the month and year is fine. You want to state what your position was, and then what you did. So you want to highlight those skills: supervise 30 members, develop and coordinate, implement, and evaluate shift schedules, address quality control improvements, including employee training. So like, it's like you're writing the company name, the years that you were there, your job that the job title that you held. Then these bullet points are like, and I did this. And so it's like you're highlighting your skills, the skills that you can transfer over to another job. Okay, and then here we have how to include education on a resume. So you have your educational history. So it's like Beachtown University, that's the name of the school, the degree that you received, and then your GPA, and then any awards that you've won at that school, or any accolades that you received from the school. So it's just like you have the winner of the best thesis, graduated with distinction, consistently on the honor roll, nominee for the best thesis, founding member of Central Designer Guide. So you can include those things. Or any extracurricular activities that you had in the school, or any clubs that you were a part of in the school. That are relevant. Adding your skills. So let's see. You have IT intern, 4 years practical experience in IT coupled with outstanding academic credentials. And then system programming, data structure. So they're just saying like everything that they did while they were interning: networks, compiler, graphics, parallel and distributive processing, fiber installation, help desk, and tutoring. So these were all the things that they did while they were interning. But then these experiences are also hireable skills. So they're listing those things. And then they have the education, bachelor in science and computer science, minor in business, the GPA, and what year they graduated. And then below that is the work experience. But on your resume, what you're highlighting here is your skills, your hireable skills. And there's skills in everything that we do. Even a stay-at-home mom has some skills that she's doing, whether it's budgeting, menu planning. I mean, those are still skills that you have, that you have. Like, everyone has skills, so don't cut yourself short. So then now we're going to go into your skills, hard skills versus soft skills. So hard skills are technical skills, computer skills, Microsoft, Office, marketing, management, project management, basically skills that you go to school to learn. And then you have soft skills, which are leadership, teamwork, communication skills, problem-solving skills, work ethic, and flexibility. So some ways that we can translate these leadership skills. For example, so leadership. Well, what is leadership? Well, what all does leadership entail? So part of leadership is decision making, delegating tasks, management, mentoring, and motivating, strategic planning, communication, cross-functional collaboration, ethics and accountability, conflict management, and feedback, and giving feedback and obtaining feedback. Teamwork. What does teamwork entail? Teamwork entails collaboration, problem solving, team planning, hosting meetings, networking, all this communication. Lines of communication, team building, flexibility and adaptability, motivation and support, and commitment. Because you have to let other people know that you've got their back. Problem solving. I mean, you can write problem solving on a resume, but I mean, what is problem solving? Sometimes you have to break that down. So that's like deductive and inductive reasoning, logical and critical thinking, creative and conceptual processing, attention to detail. People love to put attention to detail on their resume. Collaboration and teamwork, research and analysis, effective communicator, decision-making, brainstorming, prioritizing, and following through. Communication. We need communication in the workplace. That's very, very important. Employers want to know that they're hiring somebody that knows how to communicate. A lot of problems in the workplace happen because there's a lack of effective communication. So we have active listening, not listening to respond, but actively listening. Nonverbal communications, that would be like your body language, your face. What's your face saying while other people are talking? Public speaking, written communication, presentation, storytelling, interpersonal skills, confidence, clarity, and respect and support, which I probably don't have very good clarity because my allergies. Additional skills and information. You could put computer skills, fluent in Microsoft Word and Excel, some knowledge of PowerPoint, language, Spanish intermediate, certification, CPR. Also, you could put like your typing down there. SCARE offers a typing test. You can put that certification down there. Your community service, if you've done any community service, if you haven't done volunteer work or community service around the career path that you want to take, I would strongly advise that you do that. And then your interest, if it's relevant to the job that you're applying for. You have your chronological resume. This here is a little sample of that. So at the top, we have the name. She didn't give the street address, but it's just the name, the city, state, telephone number, and then email address, and the summary or objective. Where here the summary is: an exceptionally organized and friendly dental assistant with 3+ years of successful experience working with dental offices and clients. Okay, and then June, August. So like you could see that she went to school from August 2012 to June 2014, and then almost a year later she went to work at a dental office. That dental office she stayed for 2 years, and then she moved on to another dental office. So but do you see how like I looked at the resume and I could see right off the bat that there's a gap? And in that gap, that's where the employer, the hiring party, they're gonna have some questions. So they have their professional history, and this tells maybe the next dental office what they already know how to do and what they've done. So they have here like answer common patient questions about dental procedures, treatment, and issues. So it's like they're already used to giving customer service, with the patients. Prepare patients to be seen by dental treatment and clean and prepare treatment rooms. So they're used to cleaning up. Organize client schedules, receive patient on arrival, handling, billing. Okay, so it looks like when they first started, they did more of the paperwork, and then when they moved on to the next place, they were more hands-on with the clients. So they have their DANB certification, X-ray certification, denture impressions, calming and personality and demeanor. So that's a soft skills. Hygienic and minor oral surgery experience. So that's a hard skill. So it's like they listed all their hard skills on here, but then they also added a soft skill in there. This is an example of a functional resume. So here we have the name. They did give the address, city and state, phone number, email address at email.com. So then they have their summary. It's a customer service representative with over 3 years of experience solving complex customer inquiries, passionate about building strong customer relationships, driving brand loyalty, and increasing customer engagement. Okay, so that's their elevator pitch here. And then their area of experience is retail sales, data entry, Microsoft Office typing, complete resolution, service-based selling, and fluency in French and Spanish. Okay, then they have their skills grouped by theme. So skills, process streamlining. So then they have that. Then complaint resolution. So answering the average of 50 plus calls per day from unsatisfied customers related to delays in shipment. So then they list like, so it's like you list your skills and then like, well, what does that mean? Then you have service-based selling. What is service-based selling? It's like consistently exceeded application targets by 10%, with innovative upselling techniques, pioneered development of improvement systems for follow-up with unsatisfied customers, and reducing customer churn by 6%. So it's just like, they tell you what it is and then like how they're awesome at it. And then next would be any relevant professional experience. So then it's like, I have experience with cloud Clearwater in 2017, then trade law in 2016, and then they tell what they did and what the job entailed. And then lastly, it's the education. And so they tell the school that they went to, and then their degree. Then we have the combination resume, which is like a combination of both reverse chronological and the functional resume. So here we have the contact information. This one just has the name with the city and state, phone number, email address, and then her summary, a strategically minded and hardworking sales associate with 2 years of experience increasing sales and increasing brand awareness. So that's their summary. That's their elevator pitch right there. Then they list their skills and ability. After that, it's their professional history. So first it's their skills and ability, and then it's just like, and this is how I prove it. I worked at this place as, and they list the job title. They worked, from this year to this year, and these are the skills that I learned at that job, or these are the skills that I employed while I was working there. And then next they have their education, what school they went to, what years they went there, what degree they earned, and then their GPA. This one, she included, or he included awards and honors, and then their extracurricular activities. So like you see here on the extracurricular activities, it has like debate team captain. So that's like leadership skills, student government treasurer. That again has to do with finance, and then Habitat for Humanity. Well, that kind of speaks for itself, but these skills, they could be used, in marketing and sales. Okay, now we're going to move. So let me see. So when you, before you start your job application, make sure that you're using black or blue ink. Try to stay away from, it's kind of red layers, unless you're applying for a job that requires you to be creative, then of course they want to see all your creative quirkiness. But if you're not, stick to the black or blue ink. Do not use whiteout or even the whiteout little strip things, and then leave no blanks. So put in A if possible, or wherever possible. You want to make sure that you're reading the entire application before you start it. That's because sometimes if we just start the application without reading it first, then that's when we find that, oh, we wrote this on the wrong line and we were supposed to write it below, or we were supposed to write it above. So you want to make sure that you look at the entire application before you start it. And then also to, nothing catches you off guard because you read it first. And most hiring, those who are hiring, they give you time to complete the application. They're not in a rush. They're not rushing you. They're not in a rush most times, unless they double book themselves. But yeah, take your time and read it. Okay, so when filling out this application, again, like I said, make sure that you read the application, be positive, make sure that you're using neat handwriting. Watch out for things like, what were your reasons for leaving? May we contact your employer? In the salary section, make sure you fill that out. So when we say, what were your reasons for leaving? You never want to say anything negative about your past employer or your current employer. So you could say things like, I left for a better opportunity, or I left for personal reasons. And that kind of saying that you left for personal reasons creates a boundary, a safe boundary, because it's personal. Not saying that there's any fault on you or any fault on your employer. And again, you want to try to stay away from saying anything negative about the company that you're leaving, because then the company where you're trying to go is going to feel that, hey, well, when this person leaves, they're going to do the same thing to me. and badmouth my company all over the place. So stay away from that. Also, it's may we contact your employer. So if you say yes, make sure your employer knows that you're looking for another job. Otherwise, that can look, you can cause yourself a problem. If you do put no, you cannot contact my employer. It can raise a red flag, like, why can't I contact you? But I mean, it's your right to say, no, you can't contact my employer, but I'm just putting it out there that it is a red flag when they say no. So you might be asked in a roundabout way, like, why can't I contact them? Lastly, when it comes to salary, you want to fill that in. You could put in salary open to negotiation. That's so that you don't sell yourself off too low. So it'll give you time to kind of look into what you should be making so you don't sell yourself short. So at the top of the job application, you have the date, and it says social security number. I kind of picked this one on purpose because of that. Again, with the social security number, do not put your social security number. Most job applications will not have the social security number, not to say that you won't see that. I would hold off, and I say, because like I worked in education where we did need your social to do a background check prior to hiring so that we could associate you to our school. But you can hold off on that until they give you like a W-4 or some other hiring documents so that you know that your social security number is being taken care of and not just written on a job application that they'll probably just throw in the trash anyway. And if they're destroying the documents in the right way. So I would hold off on the social, even if it's a company that does a background check, until they tell you that you got the job or that they're considering you for employment. And for me, when I would do hiring, of course, we needed their social again so that we can do background checks on them, but I wouldn't ask them for their social until I've given them their hiring documents. And they were going through onboarding. During the onboarding process, that's when I would request the social and then do the background check then. You want to write your full name, your street address, city, state, zip, your phone number, again, to emphasize, make sure that your mailbox is not full, make sure that you have a professional outgoing message, and then to make sure that your phone is actually working. If you were referred by someone, then write down who you were referred by. Are you at least 18 years of age, yes or no? And are you a veteran? Some companies have veteran priorities, so they prioritize veterans over civilians. So if you're a veteran, that can be a perk. Desired employment, full-time or part-time. Full-time is 32 hours or more. Part-time is less. The position that you're applying for, what date can you start? This, you would have to be very candid and very honest about this, because you want to be able to, if you're working, you want to be able to give your employer a 2-week notice. Again, here we go with the desired salary, open to negotiation, your present employment, and can we contact your employer? What's your supervisor's name, and then what's the phone number? Next, we have school. So it's asking for high school. Then you'll put, college, if you have that, the name of the school, the location, the year you attended, the year you graduated, subjects that you studied, or you may have gotten your diploma, or you got a degree in something. You want to put those things down. Then you have your former employer. So then it's like the date, the month and the date, the name of the employer, the location, how much money you made, the position you were holding, and then here we go with the reason for leaving. So you can put personal, better opportunities, things of that nature. And then, have you ever been convicted of a crime or other minor traffic offense? This is important because the employer is going to find out anyway, especially if they have to do background checks. Depending on what the job is, they have to do a background check, and it's going to come up anyway. So I myself, when I was doing hiring, I had people that did have a criminal background, but I would have to do like a waiver. That person would have to stay at my facility, or they would only be associated to one facility at a time. So I couldn't use them as a sub, or someone who could work in a different kitchen, different facilities kitchen. They would only be able to work at mine. Of course, it wasn't they would not offer a waiver for people who had violent offenses. It was more or less for something that was minor offenses. They would offer a waiver for. And so when your criminal record background comes back and they see that, then they're going to be like, hey, you lied on this document. And at that point, you could possibly be let go. Also, I had something weird happen where I had someone do a criminal background check, and they found out that someone was like falsely using their identity somewhere in like Fresno. And so that was something else that they had to take care of, because then they found out that like this person was like getting credit in their name and all this other crazy stuff. So yeah, that was a story all by itself. And yeah, it it was a man who was taking on the identity of this woman who applied to my where I was working. She was a teacher. Oh, it was so crazy. Anyways, so yeah, so make sure you you fill that out and be very honest about being convicted of a crime or a minor traffic offense, especially if it's a job that requires you to drive or deliver things, because the employer may have to fill out a waiver. So it's not anything to get nervous about. Most times, if you've passed the interview and they want to hire you, then they know that, okay, well, I might have to fill out a waiver for this person with DOJ. Make sure that you sign and date if it requires you to sign and date. References. So when it comes to references, you want to make sure that they are referenced on your application, so that they can make sure that their numbers are working or going to stay working, that they have a professional outgoing message, also that their mailbox is not full. So most references, they ask for the name, their relationship to you, the city, the state, and the phone number. And so you want to make sure that even that your reference is able to hold a candid, professional conversation with an employer, because they're your reference, but they're also a reflection of you. Just keep that in mind. Next, you want to make sure that that you listen to your outgoing message, that you update that if you need to, and then check your emails often. and make sure that they're going to your phone. Check them off and check your spam, because sometimes employers will email you and it'll go to your spam. Sometimes Scare will email you when it goes to your spam. Just saying. Anyways, so check your spam, check your emails often, update your outgoing messages, and then you can go from there. So again, thank you for joining me this month for job readiness and moving over your resume and your job application. Should you have any questions, you can always email me at Mishell at scareinc.org. Have a great day.